All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I want to thank you guys for joining the chocolate covered strawberry rose class. Today, we will mainly be using Satin Ice modeling chocolate. So let me know in the comments if you've ever used modeling chocolate before. It might seem really scary, but I promise you it's a lot of fun and easy to use. I like to kind of think of it as chocolate that's moldable. So think of your chocolate bar, but you can actually roll it out, sculpt with it. So I'm really excited for you guys to get your hands on this and try it. So we can go to the overhead view and I'll show you guys the supplies we're going to be working with today. So of course, the Satin Ice modeling chocolate, Michael's carries it in white and the deep brown. Today I'm using the deep brown. You can definitely use the white if you want and color it. I just saw someone ask how it tastes. It tastes like a chocolate bar. It's so delicious. That's why I'm really excited about these, because you're really just eating a chocolate covered strawberry when you have this. Actually, here's a view of what they're going to look like. You can make little smaller ones, larger ones. The Satin Ice modeling chocolate is gluten-free, nut-free, vegetarian, and kosher dairy. So that's all good stuff. I have a rolling pin here. I have my strawberries. I already have some pre-done to help save with time, but I am going to show you guys how I do it. I do have some chocolate already melted here. I use chocolate melts. You can use whatever chocolate you're comfortable using. I also have like a heavy duty bench scraper here. This is going to help me break off the pieces of the modeling chocolate. And if you don't have one of these, you can just use a sharp, sturdy knife. That's fine too. I have parchment paper. So what I'm going to do with the parchment paper is we're actually going to put the modeling chocolate in between here when we roll it out. This way we don't have any sticking to the rolling pin, or there's not too much heat conducted through it. I also have cake pop sticks. These are going to be used to put the strawberries on the stick. You can also make these without the strawberries being on the stick. If you wanted this to be like a cake topper or a little cupcake topper, that could work too. You can omit the sticks. I have circle cutters. This is to cut out the petals. If you don't have circle cutters, you don't have to use them. I'll show you another way you can make the petals as well. I have a styrofoam. This is actually like a cake dummy, but you can use any piece of styrofoam or anything that you could use to hold up cake pop sticks. So I have my styrofoam here. This way they can hold it straight up, keep it in one place. I have gloves. This is because my hands do run on the hotter side. So this will help with the heat of my hands with the modeling chocolate. I also have paper towels to keep my hands dry and wet wipes to help keep my hands clean, because I do not have access to a sink right next to me. But it's very important to keep your hands clean while working with this. And you might notice you'll get some residue on your hands because if your hands do run warm. So let's talk a little bit about modeling chocolate. So modeling chocolate is firm when it's out of the pail. And that's because it's really chocolate. Just like any other chocolate, it's hard. But with the warmth of your hands or a warmer environment, it's going to be softer. So once you cut a piece of this off and you're holding it and squeezing it in your hands, you're going to notice that it's going to become soft very quickly. And this is going to make it so you can mold it, you can shape it, you can roll it out. What's really nice about modeling chocolate is that you can leave it out like while you're working on it, and it kind of sets, but it's reworkable because the warmth of your hands makes it malleable again. Also, because it's very malleable, you can smooth out any creases. You can just take a little bit of water in your finger or a tool and you can mold out any creases. So that makes it really cool. It's also really good for sculpting because it carries its weight. It's not like fondant where it takes time to set. It's not going to droop into itself. This, you can make a shape and it's going to hold that shape right away. Okay, so I'm going to let's do the strawberries first because this can take a little while to dry.
Hey, Sarah, before you do that, there's a question asking, how do you open the jar?
The modeling chocolate, it's just, there's little tabs on the end that you just take off the plastic, open it up, and then it's in this bag. You can undo the bag and it will be a big block of modeling chocolate. So I will get to that in a second. I just want to get you guys started on the strawberries if you are making this with me at the moment. So I already have some done to save time, but I will walk you through the process of how you can cover your strawberry. For this, you honestly probably could get away with not covering your strawberry in chocolate first. I like to because it gives it another barrier, because the strawberries, of course, have a lot of juice. You might notice when you get a chocolate covered strawberry, it might not last that long because the juice in the strawberry. So I like to cover it with chocolate first. I like to make sure that my strawberries are very dry, like meaning if I wash them, make sure they've been washed a long time ago and they're dry to the touch. This way the chocolate can stick to them. But like I was saying, you can wrap the modeling chocolate around the strawberry fine too. I've done that before. I just, for extra measure and safety, I like to dip it in the chocolate first, so I know that there's not going to be any juices leaking out. It kind of acts as a second barrier. Okay, so to begin, what I have here is I have these strawberries. When you're looking at your strawberries, try to choose ones that are like smaller in size. They don't have to be that small, but make sure they're not the ones that look like it's like two combined together and it's like a chunky strawberry. You want a nice cone shape. So I have one here and I took the stem out and I also took that little hard part that's under the stem so that I could stick the stick through. When you do this, you want to be very careful that you don't go through the strawberry. So just kind of weasel the stick in there lightly. Don't press too hard because you will go through the strawberry. So I already have my chocolate melted here. When you melt the chocolate, you want to make sure that you do it in 30-second intervals, stirring in between just to make sure that you don't burn the chocolate and that it melts smoothly. So I just have a little bit here and I'm going to dip the stick into the chocolate and then I'm going to put the stick into the bottom of the strawberry and we're just going to insert it just a little bit and this chocolate's going to harden and make the strawberry stick to the stick. So I'm just like lightly putting it in there and there's that little bit of chocolate and that's going to harden and help this solidify. So I will just let that sit over here or you can stick it up in your styrofoam. I don't have much room there, so I'm just going to leave this here. So the next step, I'm going to let that dry a little bit just so that it's not moving around when I want to dip the strawberry. I already have some here that I inserted the stick in and the chocolate is dry, so I will show you how I cover it. You can simply just dip it in. Sometimes I like to use this spoon to, my chocolate's actually starting to probably cool down a little bit, so it's not as runny. So I'm just going to use the spoon to help me smooth it over the strawberry. It's okay that if it's not looking perfect because you're not going to see the strawberry at all. It's going to be covered with the modeling chocolate petals. So it's just a light coating, just enough so that it covers the strawberry and acts as a little barrier. And who doesn't love more chocolate anyway? So don't be scared putting the chocolate on. Just either lightly brush it on or dip your strawberry in, however you like to do it.
Hey, Sarah, while you're doing that, I have a question that's asked, is the chocolate in the bowl, is that from the modeling chocolate or is that just
No, so
chocolate?
That's a good question. I know that can get confusing. This is actually just chocolate. You can either use chocolate chips or chocolate melts that are melted down. You can't melt down the modeling chocolate. It's just for modeling and sculpting and stuff like that. So I have my strawberry dip, and again, it does not have to look perfect. You will be covering it with the petals. So now that we have that part done, I'm going to put the chocolate to the side because I'm not going to have to use that again. Actually, I'll do a couple more in case that I have to do these a couple of times. So I'll cover another one. I will also show you guys how to do this if you don't have a strawberry. You can still make a chocolate rose with the modeling chocolate without a strawberry. It will be just as good. And I think these are really pretty to include in like a little arrangement, kind of like this right here, but you can also put just strawberries on sticks, leave them plain. You can just do plain chocolate covered strawberries in with it. It adds a nice touch. You can take these off the sticks and add them to like little dessert platters. There's a lot of versatility for these, and they're absolutely delicious.
Hey, Sarah, there's another question asking if you could do one without dipping it.
Yes.
And so I knew you was getting down to one of your last ones. So I want to
There you go. I will leave this here. Okay. So I'm going to put the chocolate to the side. Put my strawberries to the side. Okay, so now we're going to start with the modeling chocolate. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put my gloves on. Like I said, my hands do run on the hot side, so I don't want chocolate all over my hands, and this will help act as a barrier for the heat. So some tips when you're using modeling chocolate, if you do have hot hands, wear your gloves or keep even ice next to you. You can put your hand on the ice and then make sure your hands are dry. That will cool your hands down. If you notice that it's getting too warm when you're working with it, you can just let it rest on the table, let it come back to a little bit of room temperature, and you'll be ready to work with it again. So let's open it up and you guys will see what I'm talking about. So from the start out of the pail, it's hard, just like chocolate is. And it smells amazing. All I smell is chocolate when I open this. So I'm using this bench scraper and I'm just going to cut off a portion. You can use a sharp, sturdy knife if you want, but it is hard. So I like to use this because it's sturdy and it cuts through it. And at first you might notice that it's a little crumbly because the chocolate is hard, but once we start kneading it in between our hands and warming it up, everything's going to come together. So I am going to just wrap this back up nice and tight and put it back into the closed container. Modeling chocolate is very different from fondant because it is chocolate based. It's not water based. So you can come back to your piece later on and rework it, but with the warmth of your hands. You can take off a piece if you don't like a petal later and replace it with a new petal. It's really great. So here it's the modeling chocolate. It's a slab of modeling chocolate, and now we are going to just squeeze in between our hands, and it's going to slowly start to warm up. And then you'll realize that we'll be able to model and roll it out really quick. If you guys want to speed up the process for your strawberries that you dipped in chocolate, you can place them in the fridge or the freezer. That will definitely help. So as you can see, I'm already able to kind of push it into a circle, and you might see that there's starting to get like a little bit of a sheen. That's because I'm working the heat into the modeling chocolate. So I'm just going to pick up these extra pieces that had crumbled off before. So I'm just pressing it in between my hands. I'm just holding it, letting the warmth get to a little bit, just pressing, and it's already a lot softer. And now I'll begin to just knead it. And this is something that's fun for all year round or even weddings. It doesn't have to just be for Valentine's Day. Okay, so my modeling chocolate is definitely warmed up now. And you can tell that it is getting a little bit of a sheen, which is good. I did see a question. I think someone said, how many roses can you make? I've never made like so many that I have to use a whole pail. So, but you'll get a gist of how much modeling chocolate you use per rose. It's really not a lot because we're going to roll this out or make little petals out of the modeling chocolate. So First, I want to show you how you can make this if you don't have a strawberry. So I'm going to just take a small portion of this and I'm going to roll it into a ball and I'm going to form a cone shape. So that's going to act as your strawberry. And if you wanted to do this, which I'll bring my chocolate back in here, take your stick, dip the stick into the chocolate, and then dip the stick into the bottom of your modeling chocolate cone. And that can act as the base for your rose as well. So I'll place that over here too if we get to that. Okay, so now for the petal process, I'm not going to use this. I'm not going to roll this whole thing out. I'm just going to take half of it and I'm going to roll it into a ball. And I'm going to flatten it a bit. And I'm actually going to place it in between this piece of parchment paper. Again, I'm just doing this so that you could just use it on this non-stick surface, but I'm just taking the extra measure to put it in between this just because my hands do run hot and I just don't want this to get too hard to handle. So I placed the modeling chocolate in between parchment paper, just one piece that's folded over. You can use 2 pieces if you want. And I'm just going to roll back and forth to roll the modeling chocolate out. You can open it up to check on it, make sure it's not getting too thin, and see which places you might have to roll out more.
Sarah, while you're doing that, there's a question that you may know the answer to. If you know why strawberries sweat when they're covered with chocolate.
You know what? I think what it is, it's the moisture in the strawberries. So that's why I say, I actually found that if you don't wash your strawberries right away, they will last longer. So I like to wash them immediately or the day that I'm using them. Once they're washed, they could tend to get juicier or something and they don't last as long. Just and make sure that they're patted dry. That will help too. But I've always noticed that too. That's why I like to dip it in the chocolate to act as an extra barrier in between the modeling chocolate as well. So it could be because of condensation in the fridge too. So I have my piece of modeling chocolate rolled out now, and I'm going to cut out some petals. I'm going to use the circle cutters, and I'll also show you what you can do to create your petals without using any cutter. So what I'm doing is I have 3 different sizes. As we work our way out to the rose, you're going to use bigger circles for the petals. So I am just going to simply press down, give it a little twist for a nice clean cut, lift up. I'll cut like 4 of these smaller ones and then I'll move into the medium size, and we'll probably have to roll out some more. So you just easily lift off and we'll just place them here. And like I said before, unlike fondant, you can just let this piece sit out. You don't have to cover them in between working because they're not going to get dried out. I'm going to roll this up again into a ball and roll some more out. So if I wasn't going to roll this out to cut a circle, what I'll do is I would take a small amount, roll it into a ball, and simply just flatten it. So this is a good example of when the modeling chocolate starts to get soft. You can really start to see the oils of the chocolate come out more, and it might be a little hard to handle. So this is when you can flatten it out, your petal out, and then place it down, let it rest, and then you'll pick it up again. It's just from the heat of your hands. So, but that is another way to make your petals if you don't have circle cutters. And of course, the petals will look better if you're not wearing gloves that are too big. Mine are a little big, so I'm getting the creases of the gloves on my petal when I press it down. But you really just roll a ball, pat it down until it forms a circle, and then you got your petal. So you'll make 3 different sizes. You'll make a small, a medium, and a large. So again, I'm just placing I rolled my modeling chocolate into a ball, pressed it flat. I put it in between the parchment paper, and I'm just going to roll back and forth until it flattens out so I can cut out a couple more circles. I'm not rolling it too thin because I still want it easy to be able, I want to be able to handle it easily. And the thinner it is, the more receptive it's going to be to the heat in my hands. So I'm not going to roll it too thin. So I'm taking the largest circle I have now, and I'm just going to cut a couple of those. If we end up needing more, we can roll out more. So first I'm going to do the rose with a chocolate covered strawberry. And I'm just going to take the extra of this, pack it back into this modeling chocolate, and set this to the side. Are there any questions so far?
There's one question. I'm not for sure if it has anything to do with today's class, but there's a question asking about coloring the chocolate. So I'm not for sure if that's something.
So if you're coloring chocolate, you definitely, like chocolate chips or chocolate melts, you'll want to use an oil-based coloring because regular coloring could seize up the chocolate and make it chunky and not smooth. If you're coloring the modeling chocolate, I would recommend, again, using an oil-based color. I've also noticed that powder-based colors work really well with modeling chocolate as well. So if you're using the white, you can color it. Okay, so let's begin making a rose. This is not a set. These are just like, this was part of the set, but these are just 3 different size circle cutters. And again, you do not have to use circle cutters. I was just making it easier for myself. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the chocolate covered strawberry, and I'm going to start with my smallest petal. So what we're going to do is we're just going to simply take this, and this should stick to the chocolate itself. If you're thinking it's not sticking, if your hands are cold and the chocolate doesn't feel like it's getting soft and it won't stick, you can use some really small amount of water and that should do it for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this. I'm going to place this like 3/4 up the way of the strawberry, and it's going to be over the tip of the strawberry. So see how much it's over that about. And then I'm going to wrap this around the top of the cone. And this is going to create the center of our rose. So we're going to do this. This is what it looks like so far. And we're going to do the same thing directly across from it. And if you need to, if your chocolate has been sitting like this with the circles, just pick it up, press it in between your fingers a little bit, and it will warm back up. So I'm just picking up the smallest circle I have, and I'm putting it directly across the other petal. So this is kind of forming a little rosebud. Just like that. And then we'll begin to do the outer petals. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next size up, which is like my medium size circles. And if you wanted to make the petals look even more realistic, I'm going to put this back into the styrofoam just for a second so I can show you. You can press the edges of the circle to create like a thinner edge and give some movement to the circles to make them look like real petals. And it might make the circle a little bit bigger, but that's fine too. So now that I did that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this where the crease is on this, these 2 pieces right here. I'm going to make it so it overlaps over those. So there's those 2 creases there, and I'm going to place it right here and attach it, just like I did for the others. And then what we're going to do is we're going to continue to do the same thing with the others. I want to thin out these edges a little bit on mine.
And Sarah, while you're doing that, there's a question asking how thin should they roll the modeling chocolate out?
Let's see. I'm gonna put this up here so you could see what about the thinness is. It's not paper thin. Maybe it's about like 1/8 of an inch or a little thinner.
And also there's a question asking, is it only modeling chocolate that can make the leaves?
So I like to use the modeling chocolate because people will want to just bite right into it because it tastes just like chocolate and it matches up with the chocolate covered strawberry rose. And because it bites into it easily. You can make roses with fondant. You can make roses with gum paste. Of course, gum paste dries very, very hard, so you wouldn't be eating it. But you can make roses with fondant as well. But for the strawberries, I recommend using modeling chocolate. Okay, so I have my other petal here, and I'm not going to go directly across from this one. I'm just going to go next to it, slightly overlap where the other petal ends, and add this on and wrap it around and just lightly attach it. Slowly starting to come together. And then I'll do the same thing with that third medium size. And then if you want, you can start kind of giving your petals a little bit of movement. They don't have to be straight up. You can bend them back a little bit. And I'm going to thin out the edges of this other medium circle. And you can make these as big as you want. You can make small little bud style roses or a full rose. Like this one's more of like a bud style. I only did a few petals, and then these I added more petals, so they're fuller.
Sarah, did you start with the smaller circles or the bigger circles?
I started with these smaller circles. So you want to start with the small in the center of your rose, and then as you go out, you're going to use your larger petals. And I'm going to show this again. I'll show it on actually the strawberry that's not covered in chocolate, so you guys can see it again. So again, this is my last medium size petal, and I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to see where this last petal ends, and I'm going to just like slightly overlap it and wrap this petal around it. Okay, so right now we have just like a small little rose, and I'm going to add more petals to make it more full.
We have an interesting question that came in. If
Yep.
your circles are smaller than the strawberry, what would you do?
Okay, so my circles, I'll show you for size reference. Mine is actually smaller than the strawberry too. So it doesn't have to completely wrap around it. You will see some creases. So for example, this one is a very small one. This is for the center. It's not going to take up the whole strawberry. This is solely for the bud of the rose. So you're just going to put it in the center, and it's just going to take up that much room. As you go larger, you're going to be kind of moving down your strawberry. So it's going to take up more room, but I'll show you on the ones that I already have done that you're still going to see the seam. And you can get rid of this seam with modeling chocolate. That's the beauty of it. But I wanted to show you that that's okay, because that's like a real rose. You're going to see the petal. So they're not all the same exact size as the strawberry. It's like each circle is pretty much takes up half the strawberry, if that makes sense.
And I have another quick question. It appears that the store may have been out of the modeling chocolate. in certain areas. And there's a question if it's possible to make your own.
Yes, there's plenty of recipes online that you can definitely make your own. Of course, it's definitely more convenient and easier to buy it ready-made, and it's really delicious, and this stuff has the best workability. So I'm sorry that you couldn't find it, but yes, there are recipes that you can make your own. Okay, so I'm now moving on to my larger petals, and I'm just thinning out the edges of this one, kind of making it a little larger. And I'm ready to wrap it. So I'm just going to pick a side. And as I get to this outer petal, I am making sure that the bottom of my petal is touching the bottom of the strawberry. And you're just going to attach it, pinch it on, and just press it so that it attaches. And then you can start maneuvering it and shaping it how you want. So this is going to make it so that we can create this rose to look a little bit more open, because we made it so that it touches the bottom of the rose. So now we can just slowly peel back the petal a little bit and give it some movement. So now I'm going to do that with the other piece. Just going to thin out the edges a little bit. And for this one, I'm going to go directly on the other side of the rose. So I'm going to wrap it and pinch it on, lightly press. I like to hold the stick as I'm doing this, and not directly on the strawberry if I don't have to, because again, the warmth of your hands will start to melt the chocolate. So I like having this stick here to hold on to. But you might have to hold the strawberry, I get it, just to make sure that the petals are on firmly. And then shape them. So this is like a smaller rose, but this one's done.
And Sarah, when you're done, how do you store them?
So what I do is I literally like to stick them onto a styrofoam, or I even have this little display, but I put styrofoam in there so that they can stick up. I like to do that just so that they don't get messed up. But once these start to set, which they're going to set within minutes pretty much, I can actually touch this petal and it's not doing anything. So you could potentially lay it on its side once it's set. And when I store it, when I have these, I would think they last for around like 2 days, 2 to 3 days, because the strawberry is in there. And like I said before, chocolate covered strawberries get a little weird after a few days because of the condensation and the juices. So you could maybe get to 3 to 4, but I had them in the fridge for 2 days and they were completely fine. But modeling chocolate, any other pieces that you make that don't have a strawberry in the center, they'll last forever. You want to make sure that you don't store them in the fridge though, any other pieces, because the condensation will not be good for the chocolate and like the humidity in the fridge. You just want to store it in a cool place, but in like a cardboard box, and any of your modeling chocolate creations will stay good. Okay, so I'm going to make another rose, and this time I'm going to do it with the strawberry that doesn't have any chocolate. Before I do that, let's make more petals. So I still have these 2 small ones, so that's good. I won't have to do any more of those. I'm going to pick up my modeling chocolate from before. It's actually cooled itself down a little bit, but it's still soft enough for me to roll out. So I'm just going to flatten it a little bit before I put it in between the parchment. I'm just putting it in between the parchment paper, giving a little press down. And now I'm just going to lightly roll back and forth just until the modeling chocolate reaches the right thickness. And I will show you the thickness after I'm finished rolling it out. In between rolling, you can open it up, check it out, see if there's places that are getting too thin or places that you need to make thinner. My parchment paper was in the middle. Mine was in the middle of the crease, so I don't really want this to have crease. So I just moved it up a little bit so that it wouldn't be on there. Okay, I'm just going to roll it a little bit more. And then we'll be good to go.
Sarah, can you repeat the sizes of those circles?
Yeah, so I don't have the exact sizes of this, and it could depend on the size of your strawberry, but I would say this is about 2 inches. The smallest one, maybe about 1 inch, and maybe this medium one is about 2.5, and then maybe this one's 3. So it's small, medium, and large. You just really want to make sure that you have smaller petals for the center of the rose, medium size for the middle of the rose, and then a larger for the outside. I have this rolled out now, and I'll show you the thickness of this. I don't want to hold it for too long because, again, my hands are warm, but there you go. And we'll place this down, put it on the parchment again, and I'll cut out my circles. So like I said before, I already have my 2 small ones, so I'm just going to go right ahead and cut out some medium ones. I'll probably cut out about 3 just to have them, maybe 4 in case. Okay, and now for my larger circle, I'll cut some of these out. I might have to roll this out again. All right, so I have 2 larger ones. I think that should be fine. Okay. So I'm doing this one without the strawberry covered in chocolate first. So first, I'm just going to take my smaller petals and I'm just going to thin these edges out a little bit. And we're going to attach it to the strawberry. So again, for the center, I'm taking it and it's just above the tip of the strawberry. And I'm going to just fold this and press it onto the strawberry to create around that cone shape. And this is going to create the center of the rose. And we're going to repeat the same process directly across from it. So I'm just going to place that here and thin this out a little bit. Do the same thing right across from the other one. So it should look like that. And then we'll go in with our medium petals. So right now I'm just going to thin out the edges of all of these first. Does anyone have any more questions as I'm going through this one?
There's only one question. It was asking if this is the same process you would use with fondant.
Yes, this is the same process. Actually, with fondant, I would even use a ball tool on like a foam mat to help thin out the edges more to make them look more delicate. Same with gum paste. There's a lot of different techniques to create roses. So you might see different techniques out there. Some people like to overlap the circles and then roll them and it creates a little rose. It's cute too.
And then there's a question, which one is actually better?
Well, it depends what you're looking for. So modeling chocolate is very stable and it's used for modeling figurines and making toppers. So it's great for roses. Fondant has a different workability, but it's just as good, but it will dry harder. And you won't be able to rework fondant. You'll be able to come back and rework the modeling chocolate if you needed to, but both mediums work great for roses. But if you use gum paste to make roses, that's probably even better because it can roll very, very thin. You get those really lifelike petals and leaves. Okay, so I thinned out the edges of my medium petals. So now I'm going to begin wrapping them around. So I'm just going over the crease here. I'm going to make sure the petal overlaps that. I'm just going to wrap, and I pinch the side right there just to make it hold on, and then I lightly tap the bottom to make it adhere to the strawberry. And again, you can give these any movement that you like. You could fold them back a little bit. You could crimp the edges a little bit. So the next one, I'm going to, just like we did with the other one, I'm just going to go right next to it. So I'm going to slightly overlap the other petal. And then press it onto the strawberry.
So there's a pretty good question here. Could you use Tootsie Rolls?
I think I've seen that before, actually. It might be sticky, but you can try it. Try getting them warm in your hands and then molding them. It could possibly work. I've never done it before, but I think I've seen that on Pinterest or something. Okay, so I added my second medium petal and I'm just working it a little bit to give the petals some movement. And now I'm going to add the other one. So see, it does work with a regular strawberry without covering it in chocolate first. Like I said, I just like to do that in case the strawberries get a little leaky, but I did have one in the fridge for 2 days without dipping it in chocolate and doing the petals on top of it, and it was fine. So I'm taking the third medium petal and I'm just going to finish here with this space. So I'm going to make it so that they overlap the last 2 petals. Press it on. And then give it some movement. I saw someone say if you want to give them as a gift, you can wrap like a cellophane bag around it and then tie it. I would let them set for a little bit to get to room temperature so that they're not soft. You want the petals to, you want to be able to touch the petals and them not be soft. But I'm not sure how it would store in the bag in the fridge. There might be condensation. I would wrap them right before you're giving them. So you could finish at this point and have a nice little small rose, but I do have 2 larger petals that I'll add to make it more full. And like I said, you can make like a little arrangement. You don't have to have them all be chocolate roses. You can do a chocolate rose. You can add in just a regular chocolate covered strawberry. You can drizzle on top of them. You can put even just your plain strawberries in there too. It's really fun. I think it would look really pretty on like a dessert board, kind of like a cheese platter, but with desserts instead, and have the roses in there. It'd be really pretty.
I've got another question for you. So
Okay.
the bottle of chocolate that you have over to the side that's not used yet, would
Yep.
you place that back with the other modeling chocolate?
Yeah. Yep. It's fine. to be placed back in there. And notice how I'm able to keep this on the side and not touch it, and I can still squeeze it and it's completely fine. Whereas if this was fondant, you would have to keep this stored in an airtight container at all times, because once fondant is exposed to air, it's already drying and you can't rework fondant like you can rework modeling chocolate. Okay, so I have these last large petals ready. And again, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that crease and I'm going to make the petal overlap that. And I want, there's still some more of the strawberry that needs to be covered down here. So I'm going to make sure that the petal touches the bottom when I wrap it. So as you can tell, when we make these, we're starting more above the tip of the strawberry in the center. And as we go out, we're working more toward the bottom with the larger petals. Okay, so that's my other large one, and I have one more. And I'm just going to, I'm gonna go next to it with this one, and I'm going to roll out one more. So I want this to be a little bit more full. So I'm finding where that crease is, and I'm slightly overlapping it with this petal, pressing it on top and wrapping it.
And Sarah, could you repeat what you were saying earlier about adding the food coloring to the white modeling chocolate?
Yes, you should use like a gel style food color that's for oil-based things. This way the consistency doesn't get messed up with the modeling chocolate, and that the chocolate doesn't seize up. You can also use a powdered base food color as well. So I'm going to actually roll out some more modeling chocolate just to make one more large petal to finish this flower up. Okay, so I'm going to put out one of the larger petals. I'm going to thin out the edges a little bit. And then I'm going to find this extra space right here, and we're going to attach it just like we did all the others. And then flare out the edges. You have a rose. Does anyone have any more questions that I can answer about this project or modeling chocolate in general? Or any of the other Satinized products, whatever you guys have questions about.
There is a question wondering, do you recommend using white or brown on the same berry?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Would you use white, or I guess basically could you mix the white and the brown modeling chocolate on there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can even mix the white with the brown to make it a lighter brown, or you can do some roses that are white, some that are brown, whatever you want. You can get creative. You can even marble the two colors and make like a marbled chocolate rose.
Oh, that sounds pretty.
Yeah.
And there's also a question asking, is it better to use parchment or wax paper?
I like to use parchment paper, and you might not even have to. You can just use your silicone mat, like a non-stick surface. But again, I like to because it just helps with the heat and it won't stick to your rolling pin either if you use with parchment paper. I just think it's neater.
And then there's another question asking, KP had created, or she DIY'd her own modeling chocolate, but it came out super crumbly and was unmoldable. I wonder what would cause that.
It sounds like it was dried out, but I'm not sure. I've never made homemade modeling chocolate before. But like I said before, even the modeling chocolate straight from the pail, you might notice that it gets a little crumbly. That's just because it's like chocolate, so it's hard. So you have to place it in between your hands to get it not crumbly. So it might look dry here out of the pail. And then once you actually start to squeeze it and mold it and heat it up, then it gets to this moldable state. That's no longer crumbly. So maybe that could be why too. You might have to just knead it more.
And then there's a question if you could speak to how to marble.
So yeah, so if you were to marble, what you would do is, so I'm gonna act like this is two different colors. I know it's one, but we're gonna pretend that it's two. So what you would do is you take a ball of each color. So say this one, this is brown, say this is a white. You would just simply roll this into a log, roll each color into a log. So say this is the white, this is the chocolate. You're gonna press the logs together, like kind of just give them like a little twist like this, and then fold them in half, roll it into another log, continue to twist, and you'll slowly see a marble start to happen. Don't combine them too much or else the colors will combine together. And remember that you're going to roll it out, so they're going to blend into each other more as you do that as well. But you'll get a marble that easy. I saw someone said, can this chocolate be used on cookies? Yes, it's absolutely delicious.
And then there's a question asking, what is this chocolate? Does it taste like milk chocolate?
This is actually like more of a dark chocolate. And then the white modeling chocolate is a white chocolate. So if you wanted more of a sweeter, like lighter chocolate, you could definitely mix the two and it would give it a lighter color and probably a sweeter taste. But this is not a bitter chocolate or anything. It's absolutely delicious. Any other questions?
That is all that I have so far.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this class, and I'm excited that we played with modeling chocolate, and I hope you guys use it more in the future because it's really not scary. It seems scary because you see these crazy sculptures the cake artists out there make that are amazing. But you can do simple things like this as well. Yeah, so thank you guys again for joining. You can find this on the Michael's YouTube channel after the fact as well. Feel free to message Satin Ice on Instagram, Facebook, if you guys have any questions, or even give us a follow. There's tons of inspiration for our modeling chocolate, our fondant, and our gum paste on there. So definitely give us a follow and check us out. And thank you guys so much for joining me, and have a great weekend.